Let's
All
see.
righty.
I think we're live.
I
Eight
think we
seconds
are.
into it. Let's see if I can pull it up on my page. There we go. That way I can see chat.
Hit that like button, you guys.
There ain't nobody else here.
Yeah, we're waiting. I'm watching the comments. Ain't nobody's popped in yet.
Kyle's out there.
Kyle's out there.
Kyle and Uncle Al.
Hi guys.
Okay.
And of course, YouTube's email is slow in getting me the thing saying that we're up.
Joe Hudak. Hello.
That's all I have out there is Kyle Anderson, Diet Bullfrog 79. Lois Young was in here earlier, but I don't know if she's here or not.
There's Lois.
There's Lois.
Okay.
Well, Lois, that's what we're going to discuss tonight. Hello, Lorraine. Welcome, Northeast Georgia.
Hey.
We'll try and get a few more people in here before we get started.
Yep. Just kind of visit with everybody and get to know each other.
Well, while we're waiting on people, I can mention some generalizations about before we get into the meat of vetting.
Be my guest.
All right. So basically, something I'm working on, and because people have been asking me about what are the different types of groups out there, and I did a bunch of research to see what's popping up in the new verbiage around on some of the websites and stuff. And I came up, and this is sort of a alphabetical list. The first thing I have listed is an LLC group. Once where a group is actually formed, a limited liability company or corporation to do their group. And for my book, an LLC is probably one of the better ones because they're legalized. I mean, they got all sorts of lawyers involved, the paperwork and everything else. So it's like buying into a company. You know, there's things, provisions usually on how to get in, how to get out, you know, and it's probably a little bit more legitimate type of a group thing. The next type of groups aren't really groups, they're lone wolves. And we all know what's going to happen to a lone wolf out there. They're either going to become extinct or they're going to have to join a group. Then you have a MAC. A MAC is a mutual assuredness community or a mutual assistance community.
Mutual assistance, yep.
And it can be anywhere from loose to really, have some good rules in it. Problem is with MACs, they're a little bit more relaxed in their setup. Similar to a MAC is a MAG, a mutual assuredness or mutual assistance group. And they're a little bit more formal structure than a MAC. Sometimes, a lot of time, MAGs will actually have property that they own. But there's not the surety of legality as there is with an LLC. Usually, MAGs don't have things written out so much where you can join. If you leave, you get to keep all your stuff, or you get to keep everything except for the dues you paid already.
MAGs are generally, those people are generally been prepping for a while. They've already generated the group that they're going to be in. They've already accumulated the type of people they want. They've already gone out
but MAGs are
gone out and pick and choose who they want among their friends or acquaintances, like on YouTube and stuff. They'll say, "Oh, I can do this," and they get to be friends, and they kind of vet you and find out if, hey, does that guy really know what he's doing?
And one of the things
they figure out that you know what you're doing. Oh yeah, we got a group going. You want to join? And that's how they get their MAG put together.
Yeah, but MAGs also, though, even though once they're put together, they're still trying to grow because as they exist, actually with all groups, as they exist, they realize as time goes on, oh, wait a minute, we need somebody with this skill, or we need additional people with these skills.
Exactly.
Now, another type is called a team, which is a smaller group, and they are a lot of those I've checked into are really rigid, structured. They have a military type makeup and ideology. Very specific rules for everybody. Most people will not fit in good with this type of a group. Then there are tribes. Tribes are larger than teams and a little bit less specific in their assignments, but their ideologies can be more intense because tribes seem to, they get a little, how do I put it? Their mantra and dogma seems to sometimes verge on the realm of religious almost. Then there's villages, which are less structured than tribes, more open in their specific rules and assignments, but they still have some rules that people don't like. So when you're looking at the groups, you need to decide for yourself what type of group are you actually looking for. What type of group do you want to belong to? And then there's the final thing to consider on this. Are you going to go join somebody else's group, or are you going to try to form one of your own? And that's a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah.
But we will touch on in the vetting process here. We are going to touch about what you have to do if you're going to start your own group. But you also want to vet any group you're going to go into, and you don't want to make any firm commitments until you have vetted them or looked into their background or done something. All right, Dave, you want to say anything else? Going on that stuff?
Yeah, let's get started. I've got 11 showing at the moment, so we'll get started. All right.
Okay.
Basically, what we're talking about tonight, as Gil just went over the basic acronyms for the groups, is we're going to be discussing how to get people into your group or what people are going to do to let you into their group. Now, as he listed, there are several different types of groups, and each group will have different aspects to their vetting process. If you're talking about your neighbors, then your neighbors already know you, and at least some of them do. And they're going to have a good feeling as to what you are, your ups and your downs. They're going to be the closest ones that know how you actually work. As far as a person, whether you're sociable, whether you're standoffish, not because you're a jerk, but just, you like to keep to yourself. You don't want everybody else in your business. There's pros and cons to that too, which is a discussion for another day. Hey, Prescott, welcome.
Hey, Ryan.
And the best way to meet people is if you're out looking around, and
hey, Prescott, how you doing?
You can look on Facebook, Twitter. There are pages designed to help you locate groups in your area. When you meet with somebody in your area, I would recommend trying to find 5 or 6 different people in your area and just ask them out for coffee. Get a feel for them while they get a feel for you. Be honest. Don't deceive somebody, because don't say that you can chop down a tree in 30 seconds when it takes you 3 hours. Obviously that's an exaggeration, but you know what I'm saying. Don't tell them you can hit a bullseye at 500 yards when you can't shoot a BB gun for 10 feet. Don't lie about what you can and can't do. Be honest with your limitations. Say, look, hey, I got seeds, but I'm not that great. I don't have a green thumb. Stuff like that will help you win yourself into a group over saying, oh yeah, I got all these seeds and I could plant them and we'll have crops year round. Because they're going to rely on you, if they let you in that group, to distribute those seeds, to plant those seeds, to grow those seeds. And if you can't grow them seeds, you're going to be kicked out. Now, Prepping in Progress,
pissed off people at you too.
Yep. Prepping in Progress actually put out a video today, and if you get a chance, go check them out. Steve did a pretty nice discussion on what happens if you have to leave a group you're in, and kind of how some of those things were set up. And each group will have different requirements for you to join. I'm not going to go into that tonight. That's not what we're discussing. But
actually, kind of go back a little bit on you there, Dave, is if you're going to visit the people that are around you, is sometimes not even tell them that you're looking to be in a group yet. Just start associating with them and going out, maybe having coffee or going out fishing with them or something like that. Find out what their interests are then, and then find out, hey, by the way, I've been trying to get prepared a little bit. You know anything about preparedness? Just kind of inch into it, so that you can feel them out at the same time they're feeling you out. And that way you're not putting yourself on edge, and just throwing yourself out there,
Oh, that's why I said you would invite them out for coffee and talk to them, because they're going to feel you out while you feel them out. One thing I would not do, a little different from what you just said, is I would not start off in any deception at all. I wouldn't say I'm looking to find out about prepping, because if you tell them that, and then a week later, they say, hey, well, if you want in, you got to bring all this supplies. Say, hey, no problem. I've got those supplies right here in my house. Let's go get them.
I would never give that up.
But
not right at the beginning.
But I'm just saying, being deceptive at any point will get you knocked out of a group faster than you can say, holy crap, what just happened? Because everybody I've ever met, let's go to a person that some of us know fairly well. That's Prepper X. If you told Prepper X, hey, I'm just trying to learn, and then 6 months later he finds out you've got, this bunker full of stuff, he's instantly going to distrust you. The same with Gil. If you walk over and tell Gil, hey, I'm just trying to learn, Gil starts imparting all this knowledge on you. Then all of a sudden he finds out you've been prepping for the last 10 years. Do you honestly, Gil, or I myself, would trust you after that? No, I'm not, because you've already lied to me in a sense. Even if it's just a teeny one, it's already been deceptive at one point. And I won't deal with it. Hey, Al.
Yeah. One of the things I want to add to on that is when you're talking to them, don't brag on yourself. Tell them, all right, I have this skill, but I have it, but I really need to improve on that skill. That way they know you have the basics. Unless you're like a field surgeon or whatever, But if you've done some carpentry work, I've done this, but I need to know more. Don't lie about it, but don't brag on your skills. Be humble, but not deceptive in your humbleness. That's just a way to go, because you don't want to come off them thinking that you're the
macho guy.
Yeah, Willy Wonka with all the magic chocolate.
I ain't got no chocolate, so I guess I'm out. See y'all later. Bye.
So yeah, now you're talking about supplies and stuff. You're bringing them on and stuff. I know what was mentioned on Prepping in Progress earlier today. There is your stuff. There is the stuff that's going to be our stuff. The stuff that's going to be our stuff is stuff that everybody commits into the pot of the group. Once you commit something into the pot, you can call that your dues or your monthly whatever. That's not yours anymore. If you leave the group, that stays with the group. So you want to make sure that the group you're joining doesn't want an arm and a leg in your firstborn. Yeah. They got to be sensible in what they require of you to join. So, yeah. But they should not want all of you. If they want all of your stuff, get away from them as fast as you can. That's not a good group.
Yep. And any group that tells you, look, when you come in, I'm going off what he just said. I've been almost joined 3 different groups where at the very end they said, well, everything you bring, if you leave, it's ours. You ain't taking nothing but maybe a couple of days worth of food. That's BS. Now, if you want me to donate something, like say 6 months worth of canned goods, I'm all for that. I'll do that, no problem. That still leaves me with about a year's worth of food for myself and my son. I'm cool with that. I have no problem with that aspect. But if you tell me everything I bring, all my food stays, and I don't get nothing, no. Because, there might be a simple difference of opinion as far as structure. I might think that and I'm going to use a hypothetical situation, I might think because there's other groups near us that we need round-the-clock surveillance, we need 4 shifts, 6 hours each shift, rotating constantly. And somebody else may say, nah, we only need 3 shifts or 2 shifts. And that's a divisive point that you can figure out while you're trying to vet somebody into your group or their group. You can figure out these little ideological differences and figure out whether or not you can actually, work through them or not. Because if you have an ideological difference, doesn't mean they're right, you're right, or they're wrong and you're wrong. It doesn't matter. The point is, if you can't find some common ground to be able to correlate and work together on stuff, then you're not going to fit in that group, and that person's not going to fit in your group. So that's part of the whole vetting process. Now,
Yeah, Vanessa asked why join a group, and the reason for that, Vanessa, is what they call the lone wolf scenario is nobody's going to be able to survive just by themselves. You have to sleep sometime, and if you're not being able to have other people around you, no matter if it's large or small, you're going to have another amount of people, whether it's 5, 6, 7, or 8, something like that. You have to have that group of people in order for you to be able to get your sleep, maintain your family time, all that stuff. Lone wolf scenario will kill you every time.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to go that lone wolf thing. It will not work out for you. It's been worked around. I've been in a lot of discussions about it, and no matter how you try to work around it, it's just not going to work out for you.
Yeah, the only place it works is in novels, and not even there all the time.
Hollywood.
Yeah,
Hollywood can make anybody survive forever because they never run out of ammunition. They've always got food stashed everywhere. I mean,
yeah, they never sleep.
Right. No, but the big thing about a group, all right, you got to plant a garden. All right, if we're talking about a major HSTF or a Tawaki situation. Law and order is gone. So it's the Wild West and then some. So you're going to need to have someone there to watch your back while you garden, or you need to watch theirs while they garden. You need to have shift coverage for security. You need to have somebody with extensive medical knowledge because, hey, if you fall and break your leg, who's going to take care of you? You need to have people that know mechanics and engineering, electricity, water systems, sewer systems. You're going to need people with knowledge to keep stuff going. Even back in the days of Daniel Boone, you had people that were farriers, blacksmiths, candle makers, cloth weavers, people that could work leather, make shoes, clothing. They all came together in communities. That's what the original communities were, like Boonesboro. It was a community of people of different skills as well as same skills. Everybody needs to know a lot of same skills like gardening, hunting, trapping, canning. But the other stuff, you can't know it all. I mean, yeah. I've been studying for over 41 years. I still don't know it all.
Yeah, even if you start out with just a small group of people, eventually you're going to find out, hey, I can't do this. I need to find somebody. Then you've got to stop everything that you're doing, and you're going to be out there looking for somebody that you can trust to bring them over into your group. Whereas if you do it before it all breaks loose, and you already have all these people in place, they don't have to live next door even, If they live within being able to get there to you after all hell breaks loose, then that's somebody worth having, They'll break every law in the book to get to you when all heck breaks loose.
Yeah, it's like looking at the side chat. All right. Anthony there. Anthony has a lot of knowledge. He has a lot of food knowledge, health food knowledge, gardening knowledge. Ryan, Paris Caliber Club. He has a lot of firearms knowledge and a lot of survival knowledge. He has a cabin up there with a water system on it, so he knows all about setting that stuff up. You get people that have multiple cross knowledges as well as specific knowledges. It's just the way you have to do it. Hey, Dan.
Cross training. Yep.
Yeah, cross training is a big thing. That's one of the reasons why my wife and I spent years finding the place we got to set up. We got 5 acres. We're in quote a city. The city's only a quarter mile square. 412 people is the population. We know just about everybody here now. There are people here. A lot of people do gardening here. A lot of people hunt. There's the guy across the street from me runs cattle. The guy on the other side runs a body shop and restores cars and stuff. There's someone that actually runs a professional greenhouse in town. There's electrical engineer. There's someone that is the general manager of Idaho Supreme potato processing. There's a lot of people around here that have different skills. There's a dentist in town. Hey, a dentist is important. Got to keep those pearly whites white and in place. There's a lot of things you need to look at. And so when you find a group, that group, you got to find out, does that group have property? To me, that would be one of the number one things on the list, because some groups don't have property. They're just planning on everybody bugging out together and setting up a camp somewhere. That ain't going to cut it. And the property has to be large enough to support all the members of the group for gardening, animal raising, that whole type thing. It's got to be a large enough area to support the number of people that are in the group. So when you're looking at a group, you got to plan that. And if you're planning to start your own group, that's something you got to consider, is where are you going to set up at? How far away from the city or away from small towns do you want to be? How isolated?
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you on that, and I'll let you get back to that in just a second. On that note, there is a way to vet people. It's legal. All you need is a credit card. There are websites out there that will let you pull up public, and I can emphasize public information. Now, if you've got the right credentials, you can go deeper. I know somebody with those credentials, who's not on my live stream, no. I happen to know somebody who does background investigations for a living. And if I ask him and pay him for it, he can do a legitimate legal background, getting me all the information, including their FBI record if need be, if that's the kind of position that they're going to be in. You can. Really, Wes? I didn't see you. Oh, wrong room. Okay.
Hi, Wes.
Anywho, for just general meeting somebody at the beginning, when you're wanting to find out something, the average cost to vet somebody with a credit card on certain websites, I'm not going to list them. If you want to do that, go find them on your own.
There's all kinds of them out there.
Yes, there is. It's usually between $40 to $60 for a monthly fee or $25 one-time use. If you plan on doing that, I suggest going the higher dollar amount so you can do unlimited. But you can pull up all the public information, which includes their name, their address, their property, their mortgage. You can pull up whether they have a criminal record or not. It doesn't list the criminal record. It just says whether they have one or not. There's a lot of information you can pull up that will help you vet somebody right off the bat. And then as you talk to them, you can see if that information matches. Because I'll tell you right now, I actually did a public information search on myself once because I wanted to see if this website was legit. It had me living in Mississippi for 17 years. I have never once had a residence in Mississippi.
different day.
Right. Well, it's got the same exact street address in a town called the same name, just in Mississippi, not the city or state that I lived in.
I guess that's a good thing in one way.
Well, so what I'm saying is you have to be very careful of what you pull out of these sites because it may not be 100% accurate. So if you do this route, hello, Uncle Al.
Hey, guys.
If you do this route, then take what you get with a grain of salt and use it to increase your knowledge of this person, but don't take everything you read as 100% accurate.
Right.
And I'll go ahead and go back to Gil.
Okay. So tapping on that, when I worked for Homeland Security, we actually used a free site that to verify some of the information people were giving. This is just our first, right off the bat, and in 30 seconds we had information.
Anthony's yelling at you.
Anthony. Yeah, set up your infrastructure now while you can. Spare the calories. Yes, I'm yelling. Yeah, no, you're not yelling. You are emphasizing the importance of it, Anthony. Anyway, so let me show you something here. Let me move my camera over here. Zaba search. Now, I just entered in my brother's name. I did this because my brother has passed away. So
Hold on here. Let me see if I can get you.
So he must live in the big sky country, right?
yes, he does. But basically, I looked for Jeffrey Marshall Patton in California. Came up with 6 results. My brothers never lived in Vista, never lived in Janesville. Yeah, there's 2 of them are in Janesville. San Marcos, no, he's never lived there. Never lived there. So, but because but it used to years ago when I looked him up, it did find his address, but because he's been deceased now for 6 years, it doesn't show him. But you see, you come up with different people on some of these free sites. Now, what that's good for is if they give you a couple addresses for you to check on, you can quickly look on that, and if those pop up and they're correct, oh, okay, that's 1 point for accuracy. Just a point for accuracy. You still got to check other things too. There are more ones that you have to pay for. This is a total free one. But like I say, like Dave was saying, you need to, if you pay for one of those ones, that's probably the better way you get some more information off them and stuff. And you got to find the right one. My nephew does criminal background searches on people. So that's if you have a buddy or a friend that can do that, sometimes it's worth it, especially if the person's making the hair stand up on your back of your neck. There's something wrong anyways. You probably don't want to have them in the group anyways.
It goes back to what Dan was saying, is make sure that you're researching your researchers before you purchase the site, because some of those guys are not too accurate. All they want is that credit card.
Yeah.
Because I tried it myself, and I find out there's how many Uncle Al's out there? There's like 15. I'm a black man, a retired person, a sailor, a Hispanic gentleman. Look at the photos. That's not me. I'm not black. I'm not Hispanic. I'm not Chinese. I'm not Korean. And it's the same last name, but no way comment. They got
it's like me. There's only, there was 3. There were only 3 people with my full name in the United States. That's it. And that was from a DHS search. Looking on some of these ones, I found 6 or 7 that would pop up that were just put together just to throw some information out there for their to say pay more and you pay this one and you get more information. So some of you got to be careful on those. But right now, I know for a fact that it's now only 2 of us because the senior one back in Tennessee passed away 2 years ago. So it's just his son and me are the only ones with my full name in the United States.
You're not Wes.
So
Wes says he's black.
No, he identifies as black. That's okay. We accept you anyway, young man.
Yeah, we do.
Well,
wait.
Okay, self-identifying. So does that mean I can do anything since I self-identify as God?
I'm sorry, you're fading out there, Gil. I can't hear you no more.
Maybe it's spelled backwards.
That's Game, overall director for Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
Yeah,
Anyhow,
right.
The one site I used to use a lot when I was younger, and I was actually training to be a private investigator, was called Black Hat. And it was developed originally by people who were black hats. And it was very small. Back in the day, it was only $5 to join for a year, and it was unlimited searches. And it searched everything. There was nothing left out of the search. It did FBI files. It did full criminal investigation files. It gave your social security number. That program is no longer in existence in that form. Kind of good, I guess. But, just be careful, because some of these websites are only there to suck money out of you. They're started by foreign actors in other nations and other countries. And so just be very cautious, due diligence on the site you're going to use. But when you're talking to people that you want in your group, don't hesitate to ask semi-personal questions like, hey, what have you been doing for the last 10 years? And as they tell you, you tell them too. Don't hold nothing back, but don't give all your information. Remember, OPSEC is key. if you break your own OPSEC, you might as well just throw everything out the window you've got, because if you don't get along with that person, they're going to know where you're at. Because I guarantee you research somebody else to vet in your group, they're doing the same thing to you.
Yep.
You know, I can guarantee it.
Say,
So
hey,
anything
I
that you've
see,
got,
I see
they're
you're
gonna
all
do.
dirty. Are you working in construction? Is that all you know how to do? No, those kind of things. Be gentle on them.
Yeah, but you also got to be real careful. You don't want to end up with one of these guys in your group, or worse, yes, comrade.
Yeah.
Russia.
Lori,
You don't want those people in your group either.
Lori,
Yeah.
OPSEC is operational security. That means the security for you and yours, and how you decide to disseminate that information is OPSEC. Every military base has got OPSEC. They got a chain of command that says, the general says this, the guys below him says this, and as it goes down, each group has to do a certain thing, where not every single group person in that group knows what the other groups are doing. It's operational security. You don't let everybody know everything.
You've probably heard of it called compartmentalization.
Compartmentalization.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting tongue tied there. But yeah, so so when you're vetting people, there are certain things you can ask about. And if someone says, "Hey, I know how to weld," show me. You can ask me, see if they know how to weld. Someone says, "Yeah, I'm an EMT with this. Can I see your certificates?" It's like Anthony was showing everybody on the video, showed him all his training from the military, all the automotive mechanic schools he went to. He has his certificates. I got a stack of certificates about that thick, showing all the training I got while I was at DHS, all the FEMA courses I completed, all the DHS courses I completed, all the training I've done over the years. And there's a lot of things that it's easy to ask for, and they should have that stuff ready in hand. So
I don't.
But
I used to have plaques all over my walls when I was caring about it, but I don't care about it anymore.
yeah. So anybody that's looking is going to know that they're going to be asked about certain things, and they want to be able to say, "Yeah, see here, I got my certificate for this, I got my certificate for that, I've done this, I've done that. I don't know how to do this yet. I am learning how to do this. I'm taking classes at the adult school or the junior college or whatever."
Yeah, I'm learning how to grow weed. Does that count? Is that horticultural or what?
Well, depends. Do you have grow lights inside your basement? We can use those grow lights.
Is it called
We can use them grow lights.
horticulture? Horticulture or whatever they call it?
Horticulture.
Yeah.
Horticulturist. Oh,
All right.
Lord.
Hi, Steve.
All right.
How
Give me a
you doing,
second. I'm going to disappear for a second.
Hey,
Talking too much.
no growing weed over there.
I think we knocked him out with too much information.
Oh, Lord.
Hey, old man. Good evening.
Every once in a while, you got to throw something into the mix.
Yeah, I got to requalify on a lot of stuff because a third of my records in the house fire. That's always fun. Because when I go to the government to try to get my benefits, they said I haven't existed since 1982. We don't owe you $1,100 a month.
Gil went and hit his pipe.
No. I went and pulled out some certificates here.
Oh, cool.
This is my Administration of Justice Basic Law Enforcement Certificate.
It doesn't say your DHS on there.
No, this was a long time before it was DHS.
That's back in
All
the
right.
70s, Will.
All right. This is Peace Officer Orientation Certificate I did before I went to the police academy.
Hey, old man, how you doing?
But yeah, I just pulled this out, dig down into my file drawer here to pull it off the top. Yeah, it's like I got all sorts of certificates for all sorts of running things just for business. Like I have my certificate that I was a Class A general engineering contractor. I have my certificates for that says I'm a certified instructor for Incident Command System 100, 200, 300,
Oh, you're one of those jack of all then, huh?
Oh, well, this is all part of being part of Homeland Security for the incident command systems, the COOP continuity of operation plans. I am a certified manager.
Oh, I shouldn't have told you I grow weed then, huh?
No, that was a bad idea.
Yeah.
Well, you're lucky. I no longer work for Homeland Security. I retired.
Oh boy.
So, but yeah, so there, like I say, you have your certificates. They should have certificates of whether they're trained there. If someone's an EMT, they have a certificate for it, or they can't be an EMT.
Exactly.
I have certificates from the Boy Scouts from going through not only first aid, but wilderness first aid, a certificate showing that I've been trained to train people. That's just from the Boy Scouts. And then I have the Community Emergency Response Team certificates, all the stuff from that. It's like, I got about that much of certificates of stuff I've been certified in over my life.
How do you verify references there, Vanessa? That is a tricky one because, somebody may say, hey, yeah, I know this person, but they don't want to be called by 10 million people. Well, it's going to get to a point that if you actually want to vet somebody fully, you're going to have to know about their references, personal references. Like, hey, I know Bob Joe down the street. He's a welder and I've worked with him. Well, you're going to want to talk to Bob Joe down the street and see if he actually worked with him. Because if he didn't work for him, there's another lie. It's another inch toward out the door.
Anthony's yelling at you again, Gil.
Training
a freaking CPR card. Yeah. Okay, Lori Jean is asking, what is ICS? Incident Command System. And Incident Command System 100 to 400 based on how big the incident is. I don't know if any of you guys remember 10, 15 years ago when throughout the entire state of Montana was on fire. They had like 6 major fires going. That's called a complex incident. And that's covered by level 400. The person who's been trained in level 400 can run several incidences from one command post and coordinate all the supplies and everything going around between that complex incident setup. And
You're
they
a smart
usually
guy.
don't
I
get.
need you in my mag.
What was that?
I need you in my mag. You're a smart guy.
Well, I'm not. There are a lot of guys out there. You want to get somebody into your group? Find a well-trained firefighter. There is a saying in law enforcement. It's called GAF. You have a big problem going on, big incident going on. You got a shooting, fire, and everything else. You want someone to take charge? You grab a firefighter. GAF. Grab a firefighter because they are trained in this.
I have to go back to the lone wolf theory. There's only like 3 or 4 people in history I know that survived on their own, and they were the meanest SOBs in the planet. And unfortunately, one of them is my relative. He was in the Philippine jungles of Loban, and he was still fighting the Americans until 1972 or 1973. And that SOB was the meanest, angriest little person you have ever seen. He's shorter than me, and he fought everybody. He fought bandits, Moros. He fought the American guerrillas. He fought the Filipino guerrillas. He fought the regular Marines. He fought the regular armies. They shelled them. They bombed them. They machine gunned him, and he still fought until 1972. And he wrote a book for it. And after a while, he got tired of Japan. It was too quiet. And he moved to Brazil and raised hell there until they came.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm having lag trying to post people.
Yeah.
Things here.
There are a lot of people out there that are in law enforcement, emergency services, who, believe it or not, are very, very pro-Constitution. But they got to keep their heads down and, not draw attention to themselves. Should I go into New York City versus leaving New York City? If it's an HSTF, get the heck out of there instantly. That place is
Yeah.
going to turn into a
A
war zone.
quagmire.
Mad Max on steroids.
Yep.
Remember the old Kurt Russell movie, Escape from New York?
Yeah,
Times that by about 3.
exactly.
It's going to be mad, very bad everywhere. There will be sections of Brooklyn that are walled off almost instantaneously. Those gangs there will actually put up chains, and if you cross one of their zones, you'll either have to pay a price to cross through it or you're dead. Those gangs are no joke. There's gangs like that in every city: Cincinnati, Detroit, Dallas, Fort Worth, Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Portland. I don't care what major city you go to, there are gangs. And if SHTF happens, those gangs they're going to be the rule of law in those areas. You do not want to be anywhere near any of that if stuff happens. So if you're near it now, start planning a way to get out and get away from it the minute you know something's happening, or you're going to be stuck inside there. Getting out will be a very, very hard option.
So if the person asked the question why I hold my hand in front of my face when I have food, I have palsy on on the side of the face. So if I don't hold my hand up in my face, food falls out.
He's being polite, people. Okay. Anthony said, like someone claims they are a veteran, do quick questions to verify, asking, I just flipped up here, asking the questions that only a vet would know, which means someone like me, I can't ask those questions, but my wife can. I never served in the military. My wife was a drill sergeant. So, yeah.
I haven't got to take the new badge test yet, Steve. It's still in my row of notifications to answer, but I'm going to take that test.
Also, Deal.
Yeah.
Right over there. You can check with the DOD records too, because DOD keeps good records on everybody to your ranking.
Yeah. But how much access do you have to the DOD's records? They like to keep things close to the vest, I understand.
I know, really vested. That's why I'm trying. That's why I'm arguing with them all the time, because they have me listed until 1982, and I'm dead. They owe me money.
For a dead man, you're pretty damn scary.
Yeah, and tired and angry, and I'm eating food with one hand over my face.
All right, the Virginia laws and stuff. That's going to be
a mess.
That's going to be a mess. The courts are going to have to work out, and it's going to come to a head, and it's going to wind up getting appealed on up, and that's probably going to go to the U.S. Supreme Court to be settled, unless the District Court of Appeals slams it hard enough against the state of Virginia and says, no, that's totally unconstitutional.
Which it is.
I bet they let that ride right through until the 2020 election.
Yeah.
Also, the big thing was, if you ever seen the political map of Virginia, most of Virginia is red. Only the major cities are blue. And the way they gerrymandered it, because I studied political science, the way they gerrymandered it, it went through certain portions of the state. They picked up all the Democrats, but left out all the Republicans and independents out.
Yeah.
And that made a lot of people mad.
Yeah, well, we're not here to discuss Virginia.
Right.
So, so if you're, the thing is, the best way you can do is when you're interviewing, if you are starting your own group, after you have one or two key people in your group of varying backgrounds, interview somebody, have all three of them interview, have a set of questions to ask anybody that you want to come into your group, just like a job interview. They come in, you've got to talk to them. They provide, documentation to back up as much as they can of what they're saying. And and then you do some, have one of these companies that will do the background searches for you, either a local company or a online one. Now, if there's a local company you can find, that's probably going to be your better bet than online, because you can develop a rapport with a local company and they know which companies, which online stuff they can use and can't use, and they can hunt stuff down for you fairly quickly. My nephew used to do full background criminal searches in 24 hours.
If you want to sit there and ask them a bunch of questions, make sure that when you're all done, be the polite guy and say, "Do you have any questions of me?" That way, they're not feeling pinned down. You know,
Right.
they're giving you the benefit out of letting you ask the same questions back. You know.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. If you go to join a group and they just ask you questions that they don't want to let you ask questions at the end, bye guys, sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and try and be as cordial as possible. I mean,
Yeah,
when it'd be just like if Gil and I were sitting at a cup of coffee, or Will or Al. We're all, the four of us are sitting down for coffee somewhere, or dinner or whatever, and we already know why we're meeting. We're talking about joining a group, and maybe all of us are different parts of a group, but we don't know that.
Or maybe we're talking about forming a group, but
Right.
whatever it is,
Just be cordial. Don't be deceptive, because I'll tell you right now, and I'm going to tell you, while I'm talking about this, I'll see if I can't get the link to her channel. Do yourself a favor. Get some training in one key subject, and that is body language observations. And I'm going to see if I can't find her channel real quick. It'll take me a moment. So somebody go out there and talk while I look.
I'm checking my notes over here, guys.
Okay, I'll talk. But I agree with
Oh yeah, here's something.
and Gil, they have a class on people reading, so you should check it. Every interrogator, I think Gil knows what I'm talking about. Every interrogator in the military and Homeland Security, and who else? I forget.
TSA,
knows how to read
Customs,
people.
Border Protection,
Knows how to read people.
FBI.
Especially FBI, way they goofed up a couple of times.
Well, no, the investigators didn't goof up.
you guys better be careful. Have you reading this? Corsair trainers are checking up on us on YouTube.
Yeah.
Great, thanks.
And, hey, Steve, tell me how much stuff you come across that's been redacted. That stuff's probably going to remain redacted on me for another 10 years.
All right.
Yeah. But
that channel
just
go ahead.
one note here I want to get out before I forget it again. When you're checking on people, on the background checks and stuff, anybody that's had any complaints of sexual harassment, sexual acts, or drug stuff, that's kind of a red flag to look into to make sure, someone could have some claims put out there, and not be true, but you want to find out, because personally, I wouldn't want a drug addict in my group because,
Hey, pot's not addicting.
So I wouldn't want to have a drug addict. I didn't say a marijuana addict, because
I don't know. I don't think I want somebody who's going to be addicted to pot 24/7, eating all the damn munchies.
Yeah, exactly. But other people are, you're going to have somebody, an addict, who's suddenly going to be trying to get more of his substance, whether it's alcohol or whether it's oxycodone or heroin or whatever.
I agree.
You don't want them to have access to your supplies.
You really don't want those kind of folks in your group.
Yeah,
And you don't want to
and you
Go ahead,
don't
Jim.
want a rapist or
child molester.
child molester, any of that type in there.
I
Things you got to look for.
I talk about pot all the time, but I'm older now. I don't do as much as I used to.
We know that well, but like Steve said,
Yeah.
he's verifying things. If you do, Steve, please tell me, because I got to prove this in federal court. They still owe me money. Lots of money.
Also, when you're interviewing them, if they, one of the things we used to do, we used to interview people for coming on board to DHS or TSA or Customs when we do the interviews. We'd ask a question, and then 10 questions later, we'd ask the same question a little bit differently. If we got a different answer, it'd be, whoa, wait a minute. We're getting inconsistent answers here to basically the same question.
That's right, Jay. What about there where they got to hear for those, listening for those crumbs hitting the floor?
Yeah.
Okay, Ryan, catch you later. Ryan's going
Okay.
over to Fringe File and Imagination.
Manifestation of imagination.
Yeah, I wish he has
Yeah.
a shorter name for that.
Tell Reed hi.
That's why I go with Uncle Al instead of Die Bullfrog. Everybody gets confused on that. I found out there's 20 Die Bullfrog channels.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
All right, back to the body language. Yes, it can be fooled if you're not actually very well trained. And I'm not. I'm still training myself to be better at it. But if you go check out her channel and watch and learn what she sees, and she explains it very well, even in the short little clips she puts on YouTube. She teaches you what to look for, and as you start watching other people, let's say she discusses Senator Rand Paul in a video, and then you go look at Senator Rand Paul, you can see again, because he uses the exact same mannerisms. There we go. I can speak. He uses the same mannerisms every time he talks, and as you learn to pick up on those mannerisms, it's just like a poker player and a tell. You learn to pick up that tell. You can tell every time whether they're lying or not, because that tell in poker translates to their normal life as well.
Right.
So even if there are people that can beat it, you'll still pick up key little hints that maybe they're not being 100% honest about what they're telling you. So just do yourself a favor. If you think you're going to be in that position where you need to interview or be interviewed, you also want to be able to pick out if the interviewer is lying to you as well. The best thing to do is, if you figure out they're lying to you, is keep your mouth shut, end it as quickly as possible, cordially, and move on your merry way.
Yeah.
Also, you got to be careful, guys. You could be fed a false, because a lot of people who do this stuff professionally, they could trick you at any moment, do those motions, and try to feed you something false. And you have to be very careful about that.
Now, that's not to say that every group is that way.
No.
Now, I would say the majority of the groups are fairly honest and decent, hardworking people. There are a few bad apples out there that are making it difficult for everybody else.
Sorry, Alicia, didn't catch that comment, or I would have reposted it for you. But if you found link, awesome. Lori, the only thing I've heard anybody ever use is a baking soda mix, and I honestly don't know what the mix is. I have a medicine here that will treat the same thing, but I don't even have it in hand. It's in my one bag, and it's upstairs. Go ahead.
Yeah. The one of the things to consider with the group, I talked about how much land they have. How far away is it from you? That's something else you want to consider. If there's a earthquake, major earthquake on top of whatever else is going on, are you going to be, are the roadways, are bridges coming down? If it's everybody's favorite thing right now in the novels, is it an EMP? All vehicles are stopping. Do you have an older model vehicle that will still run? Will you still be able to get out and go? Do you have backup transportation to get there? How far away is this from you? Now, several groups that I've looked at have their property. They're out of the city. They're up in the country, and they actually have people that stay there full time to keep an eye on the place, to plant gardens. They have gardens growing all the time. That way, if something happens, everybody goes up there and they have stuff already started and going. That's a real cool group. If you can get in and mesh up and personalities match. That's the other thing, personalities. The group may be number one, perfect, everything along the lines with their background and everything else. But do your personalities clash? That's something else you got to watch out for.
Yeah, because having two alpha males in a group will clash instantly, and there will be dissension, and the group will break up faster than you could say what happened. in an SHTF because they're both going to try and rule a roost.
Oh yeah.
The group has got to have specific rules, guidelines for leadership and what each person's thing is. Now, some groups are set up where they have a tier system, which if you're on a budget, a tier system's not bad. When I say a tier system, they have some people buy in at a certain amount and they get an acre of the land to put a house on or put an RV on and set up, cargo container, whatever they want. Others get, quarter acre to set something up on. Others get, in the big bunker, have rooms in the big bunker. There's, depending on the thing, how it's set up, look at what the buy-in is and how much that buy-in gets you, and can you upgrade down the road? Because if you buy in now and you have a 100 square foot area for your tent space and your car and everything else, and you got in dirt cheap, but as you save money, you can upgrade to where you can actually build something out there, or you can actually get into the facility if they have a facility out there. I know several groups have bought the old silos and they're converting them.
The old Minuteman silos, yep.
Yeah, the big missile silos, and they're actually converting them. So, like I said, there's different types of groups and different things. There's one group, I'm not going to say where it is, but it's east of the Rocky Mountains and north of Nevada, and it's not in Idaho, but
North Dakota.
They have
Kansas.
they're done in a old mine. They built their thing into the mine. They've enlarged it, put concrete in, and they've built their thing in a mine. They wanted me to join them. That's a little too far from where I wanted to be.
I want to answer. I'll make a comment real quick on Scranton, VA. The key to a good leader is not that you can lead because you're the best. A good leader works on making the people that are under him better people. A good leader isn't trying to be the absolute best. He's trying to help the people below him. And it's the same in business as well as a group. You're trying to make the people below you better. Not only are they going to respect you more, they're going to work harder to get the job done. And if there is an issue, they're going to feel like they can actually trust you to talk to you about this issue. Like, hey, last night, man, Gil was supposed to be out on patrol, and I'll be doggone if Gil wasn't sitting in the back of his house toking on a pipe, man. Not out on patrol like he should have been. Whereas if you're a leader and people don't trust you, they ain't going to tell you about that. They're going to go join Gil behind the house and say, hey, man, let's party, instead of somebody being out on patrol. Yeah. That's the quality of a good leader. People will trust you. If people don't trust you, you're either A, doing something wrong, or B, you've irritated enough people by being a bad leader. Okay.
There is some information out there that you can get to because it's public information. If you look up the National Youth Leadership Training from the BSA, and the Pacific presentation you want to look at is how to be an effective leader. It's really good. I just posted a video on the Boy Scout law today about how it's defined by great leaders of our time. And basically what I was, World War II general, just Eisenhower said, you don't beat people over the head. You don't lead by beating people over the head. That's assault, not leadership.
Yep.
A leader has to know how to follow to be a good leader. And a leader's number one job is to train his replacement.
Yep.
Because like in Boy Scouts, you don't want to be the leader all the time. At first, I want to be a patrol leader. I want to be the patrol leader. Ooh, I want to be the senior patrol leader. I want to be just one of the grunts down, one of the little Indians. I don't want to be the chief anymore. I want to go out and have fun. So, you train your lead, you train those to replace you so you can have fun. But the thing is, a leader is beside his people, not in the back, managing them, tell them, do this, do that. He's showing them, helping them.
A good leader is somebody that's willing to get their hands dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That may be it. That's what made me a bad supervisor when I worked in the union shop, because I always was down on the line working with the people. I was always getting written up by the management because I was down there working with the guys, trying to show them the techniques, how to use tools and stuff, And then I'd get in trouble with the union for work, taking union work away from the guys and stuff. But
Yeah.
the guys did what I wanted them to because they knew I wasn't afraid to get in there and help.
Yeah. One of the companies I worked for in California, underground construction company called Mountain Cascade, the owner of it, the founder of it, this guy had $500 cowboy boots, a $250 Stetson hat, and he was out there and something went wrong. Guess what he did? Dressed in all his finery. He jumped down in the mud with the rest of us.
Yep.
That was a leader.
Yep. As me in the welding shop, I was told to wear a tie and stuff to work every day, but if something went wrong, I'd jump down in there and help. If something went wrong, I'd be down there getting written up by the union in my good clothes because it had to get done.
All right, yeah. Both Corsair and Palmetto Prepared said leader or lead from the front. Yeah.
All right, let's talk.
Allegate the work.
Yeah.
Yeah, a good leader can delegate, but an excellent leader will actually take up the
Delegate the work.
shovel himself.
Yeah. So the group you want to join, you got to vet the group itself, what they have, not the people in the group, but the structure of the group. You want to look at it, dissect it, see their written rules. If they don't have written rules, I would say, well, thank you, but no, I'm going to look elsewhere. That's why in the very beginning, I was talking about the different types, and I said the LLC was probably the best one because an LLC has to be incorporated. They have to have all this stuff written down. And so, that's probably one of the better. If a group has been able to form an LLC,
that would be the best structure, but
yeah,
not always the best meeting.
Well, generally, if they're the best structure, they're going to draw the best people.
Yeah, I suppose, but
and you may run into too when you start talking to a group. They may not have everything laid out. They may be new, but when you bring up that topic of, hey, do you guys have a rule set as to, a chain of command, a structure, be it military, civilian, however you want to label it? Because in my personal opinion, the military structure, albeit to a civilian, seems extremely strange, extremely hardcore. But I'll tell you what, the military uses it to a precision for a reason. It's because the general knows what he needs to do. The grunts know what they need to do. There's a chain of command that go up from the grunts to the sergeant to the lieutenants to the captains to the generals. And I know I skipped a few in there, and I did that on purpose because I didn't want to make it 5 minutes long. But there's a chain of command, so everybody knows what they're supposed to do. A group has to have a chain of command, like Gil said. Now, you may be interviewing with somebody, and they may be interviewing you, and the group may be so small that nobody has any rules drawn up yet. So don't discount that group totally yet. But when you bring up that rules, they say, hey, would you mind helping us draft some? So be willing to talk with them about a rule set of some sort. So even if you don't join that group, they actually can build themselves up better. And in the long run, you may develop a MAG where the group you're with and the group that you helped over here, the two groups may actually be able to assist each other in an SHTF, even though they're 20 miles apart, via radio comm saying, hey, man, I've got this issue and we really could use some help. There's a fire over by us and we really need some help. Or, we're having a crop issue. You got somebody over that can come and give us some help. Because you help that one group out, even though you're in another group, you've created a system to where you can reach out to other people that are going to be willing to help you because you did help them in the very beginning. So don't totally discount it, but just put it in the back of your mind.
And one of the other things to consider too is Dave mentioned earlier about having two alphas in the group. If you come to a group and you see there are two alphas in there and they argue about something, but then and they're arguing, they actually communicate with each other and they work it out. That's a good sign. If they can work it out, that's a really good sign when alphas can work it out.
I'm going to answer Coursera trainers. If you go to your main page, go to your YouTube channel page, and somewhere, I don't remember exactly where, I'd have to go look it up, but there's a place where it shows you the people you've blocked. You can uncheck them from that area.
Yeah,
It's in your,
it's around your community tab down in your.
yeah, they've, with the whole new YouTube beta going live, I missed where they threw it, but it's in your channel, it's under community, and there is a tab that shows you the blocked people. You can unblock them from there.
Yeah, you can sometimes you can actually just Google it, and YouTube will have a little thing on how to do it. So, a little tutorial will walk you through the steps on how to do it.
Vanessa, as far as the LLC goes, depends on the group. I mean, there are people who form an LLC hypothetically. These people are in charge. Then there are some groups that actually file a legitimate LLC under an assumed name, so the government doesn't come sneaking up on them going, "Hey, what y'all prepping for?" So they don't get put on a blacklist.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But see, an LLC, you won't be able to file an LLC after the SHTF.
No,
Yeah.
it's going to be a little hard. Now,
Yeah.
before I go, everybody make sure you watch Gil's channel right in the corner. Gil's Cap Patton Family Compound, really good. Check out Will on, I'm pointing right, am I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Check out Will on Wednesday and Saturday. And every Wednesday, I think Dave's on. Dave, are you on Wednesday?
Wednesday.
We're here Wednesdays now.
Okay, sorry. I'm getting
Old school, you're
tired.
a moderator. Go ahead and post.
I'm tired and my brain's kind of going blah, 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 blah. So that's Dave up there. So please check him out. If you haven't supported him, please support him. He needs all the help he can get.
We all need all the help we can get.
Yeah, because Uncle Al's, like I said, time is short and I got to do a lot of things. And I'm still filling out Christmas cards.
Yeah.
Do mail to everybody I got on my list. See that?
Yeah.
This is why Uncle.
That one looks like me.
Yep.
It was you. I gave him your picture.
Okay.
All right.
I gotta go.
T4 just made a statement there. Even outlaw motorcycle clubs have formed LLCs. They put property and stuff into the LLC. That way,
It's legit.
it's legit. And if a member does something, it doesn't affect the LLC.
The
Now-
LLC is not going to be legal if SHTF is on.
No, but this is beforehand. This is so you can have the land, everything gets set up, and basically it sets up a good structure and prepares the group. Now, one of the other things, if you're starting out with a family setup and you're only doing family members, a living trust or an S corp does the same thing, but keeps it in the in control
In the family.
Right.
All right. Hold on a second, guys. Old school. You can go ahead and post that link in the chat now for Lori and anybody else that may need it. If you have recurring issues with shingles, she posted a link on there that will help you with that. And I know as we get older, anybody that had chickenpox when you were younger, you have that gene in your system, and it can come up and bite you in the rear end without even knowing it. And it is something as you get older to keep aware of. That's something that's not discussed in any group is shingles. It can be debilitating. So if you've had chickenpox, they can follow her link and go check it out. It might be good information you want to store for later.
Now, tag it onto that. One of the things you need to look at a group is, let me scroll back down here to it, medical information. Yeah, medical and mental health disclosures. What if someone is on medications for diabetes? Are you going to be able to have those medications, available after, HSTF? Someone has severe rheumatoid arthritis. Someone's taking allergy medications. Is there generic versions of that prescription medication you can get that will help them after HSTF or TWAWKI? All right. See, Palmetto Prepared, Anthony says that he is an S Corp for his. Very good. My wife's an accountant. She's setting up an S Corp for the Camp Patton Family Compound as well. It protects your assets in case you get sued. Hey, you get in an auto accident, you may get somebody trying to come after you for your house, everything you own. So it's another way of protecting yourself just normally. Now, just because someone has a mental ailment doesn't mean it's a bad thing to have them in the group. Someone may have a mental stress disorder. I just lost the military acronym.
PTSD.
Yes. All right. Just because they have it doesn't mean they're no good for you. Doesn't mean they're going to be a liability. Sometimes some mental issues, keeping busy doing stuff like that is what they need to help them, work out. When they're sitting there at home is where they get bad. When they're out doing stuff, working the farm, planting stuff, doing stuff, activities helps them. Oh, that's how helps them cope.
Those with ADHD, right here.
Yeah.
If I don't stay active, if I don't keep myself focused on something, it's like when I'm editing videos, I have to focus on that video so I can actually do it. But if I'm just sitting here doing nothing, my brain literally will travel everywhere from quantum physics down to cooking a burrito to boiling an egg. I mean, my brain literally covers the gambit in a couple hours. So I have to find things to help me focus. And on an SHTF event, I know I'll have to do something to keep me focused. I can cook, I can sew, I can shoot, I can run a hoe. There's in the gardening type hoe, not the other kind, people. Come on, keep it clean here. So, I mean, I can do a lot of things. Now, working the garden, that's going to hurt because of the neck issues and arm issues I have. But to keep the group active and going, I'll spend an hour or two out there in that field under the understanding that after that hour or two, I'm going to be so exhausted and in so much pain, I'm going to have to go either dive in some warm water or lay down and take a nap because of how much pain I'm in. And the nap isn't going to be very good. I'm going to toss and turn a lot. But I know my limitations. Not my limitations, I would state them immediately saying, look, I can do this for about an hour at best. And I'd make sure that people know that before I even join the group. And they may say, hey, look, we like you, you've got skills, but we don't think we're able to take care of the absence of you in our group when you're taking care of yourself. And that I would respect because they were honest with me. Go ahead.
Anthony, you're going to tell your grandkids that grandma got run over by a reindeer?
Grandma was grandma was a hoe operator, a backhoe operator. Yeah. Now when people have limitations, there are workarounds for it. Especially if the group has a greenhouse. Greenhouse work, working on planting the seeds and everything else, sitting there at a desk, that's busy work, concentrating, working on that, pruning trees. When I'm not talking about the big pruning, I'm talking, grafting, different varieties of citrus onto different citrus ones and stuff. Just so everyone knows, oranges, lemons, I'm losing it here. Grapefruit. Most of those trees have the same rootstock. Wild lemon trees are the rootstock for commercial oranges and lemon trees and grapefruit trees. They have this basically that. So there's always going to be a need for people doing grafting work. Same thing with peaches, pears, apples, apricots. That's not bend over labor work. So if someone has that skill and they can do that, you have them do that. And someone else who is good at gardening can do gardening. You don't
be willing to teach it.
Yeah. And you don't need to make sure that everybody can do everything. Now, when you're looking at a group, you also want to make sure that everyone in that group is willing to learn other skills.
Yep.
You can't have
one-trick ponies.
Yeah, exactly. You got, I know how to weld. I know how to do blacksmithing. My dad was a farrier. He trained me in that a bit. I still got to go back and relearn it all again, but I have the basics in there already. I've been gardening since I was 7 years old. I've done grafting. Electrical, I was a Class A general engineering contractor, so I know carpentry, plumbing, water systems, electrical. I don't want to have to be doing all that. I want people that are going to learn, and I can teach them how to do electrical. I can teach them how to do water systems. I can teach them how to shoe a horse.
A lot of people want to learn other things. And when you get into that situation where you're in a group and you guys are trying to start all over again, my feeling is that people are going to want to learn other stuff because they're not going to want to just sit there staring at the ground wondering what the heck's going on with them the next day,
And the other members of the group are going to want that one person doing the same thing. Yeah, they're not going to want someone, the group's not going to tolerate someone sitting there not doing anything. Oh, well, I'm a dentist. There's nothing for me to do. Or I'm a brain surgeon. There's nothing for me to do.
Everybody's going to have to learn to pull the weight.
Yeah.
It's the only way it will survive.
Palmetto, I'm the same as you. I know how, but I am no good at it. I know how to weld, just like I know how to graft, but I've never done it. I've only read on doing it.
Yeah.
So would I tell a group that I'm going into, hey, I know how to graft fruit trees? Yeah, I know how. Have I done it? No. So would I tell somebody I know how? No, because I've never done it.
Hey, Anthony, I can teach you how to weld. I've taught a lot of guys how to weld.
Yeah. Well, with welding, once you know the basics and stuff, practice.
Yep.
That's a lot of skills. You got to practice it. You learn it. You practice it.
There's a lot at the factory I worked at. There was a lot of guys that would work really hard on the line, that were assemblers and stuff like that. And I would just pull them apart and I'd say, how'd you like to make a little more money and learn how to weld? So then I would take them and teach them how to weld.
Night, Lori.
And as to Alicia's comment, maybe they should hold classes. That goes to having a sizable library for your group, be it on a hard drive and PDF files. I actually prefer that, the group have a library of actual books. Everything from 60s DIY manuals up to current year manuals. Even Chilton's manuals on cars. Some of that information will translate from one car to another. So somebody who gets a basic, knowledge of how to work on Chryslers, even though Chryslers and Fords are two different manufacturers, some of those ideas will transfer over. So teaching other people, handing them a book and saying, here, this is give you base knowledge. Same with plumbing, electrical, all that stuff. If you got an actual hard copy book, you can hand that to somebody and say, look, next week we're going to start teaching people how to do this. You want to do it? Yeah. Okay, here's a book. So having a hard copy of book.
Having a library is going to be important.
Yeah. I was still talking about welding on the side chat there. When I was in high school, I had a great metal shop teacher. He had us, those that were having problems and were complaining about, the stick welding, he would give us a piece of metal rod and rub chalk on it and have us try welding with that. After trying to weld with a rod covered with chalk, nobody complained about welding with a regular flux coated rod, because it was so difficult to weld with that chalk covered. And that's what the original welders used, was chalk covered rod. So there's you can learn anything if you need to. And someone had a Tibor taking arc welding, MIG or TIG, both. For me, I learned how to gas weld first. Then I learned stick welding. And when I went to work for Mountain Cascade, they had a TIG machine in there. And they wanted me to weld something with the TIG. I'd never weld with it. And one of the guys told me, hey, it's just like gas welding. as far as how you run your pool and you feed in your stick wire.
I hated
It was
TIG welding.
I loved it, man. I was welding on aluminum, and I was able to right up, and it worked just great to me.
All I've ever done was stick. So
Yeah, it was great. MIG is a lot of the guys, the welders on the pipe and stuff, used MIG as much as they could to because it had a constant feed and they weren't having to change out sticks. So it's going to be your preference. What do you think you could be best at? What are you looking to do
Chris,
for
have a
welding?
good night.
Yeah, I used flux core wire on my welding machine when I did square pipe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never done gas welding. My pastor's great at it. I stink. I've done stick.
Yeah,
He's the one that actually taught me. My pastor's the one that actually taught me how to stick weld.
my
Because I had an old Dodge Ram truck. And I
My
wanted
wire-
to set
my
steps
wire
for it,
came
and he
out.
actually helped me build up a set of steps. He made me actually weld it so that
See you later,
I
Steve.
could say something. Hey, I actually did it. But he actually taught me how to weld using the stick. And he does gas welding all the time. He actually, I can't remember the channel name, but he's actually building PTV, and I'll go find the link for that while you guys chat.
Oh, he's gonna like that.
Yeah. So yeah. Let me check my notes here.
I'm telling you, my wire would come out of a 55-gallon barrel.
Yeah. Some of the things to consider if you're going to start your own group. How much land are you going to do?
Night, Steve.
How many people do you want to have in your group? How much how many families are going to be participating? How much can each family afford? So what size property? Can the property be subdivided? Because that's what some people do. They'll go out and they'll buy, a group will go together and they'll go out and buy, 40 acres or whatever, and they'll subdivide it into 5-acre lots or 2.5-acre lots. That way they formed a community out there, but they all own their own land as part of the community. That's one way to do it. Is there an existing house on the property? Are you just going to have trailers up there? Are you going to build all the infrastructure and everybody brings up their RV trailer or whatever and park it up there?
Daniel, we're gonna make log cabins.
What exactly? One of the other things to consider, everyone needs to consider is expansion. Oh, you have this nice young couple comes and joins the group. Next thing you know, they're popping out babies.
Yeah, put a stop to
that. Hey, after HTF or Tawaki, a couple years later, all of a sudden someone starts having babies. They see, it's natural. All right. If you have an existing place on it, is someone going to live there all the time to keep an eye on everybody's supplies? Now, one of the things I was looking at, the guy saying, "Oh, just put cargo containers out there; they'll be nice and secure." Baloney! Do you know how fast it takes me to cut into a cargo container with a chop saw?
30 seconds.
Yeah.
Go right to the side.
Right through the side. Forget the door. And if it's just to have a simple padlock on it, bolt cutters, and I'm in. So, what are you going to do about security for your the property up there? Is you going to have someone living up there all the time, or you have people going up and rotating up there on weekends or whatever? But the big thing to do,
I'd put up game cameras.
Yeah, but still, that's for after the fact, though. But one of the things to consider doing as a group: practice. Get together, go up to where the property is, do a weekend drill. Everybody tried planning their vacation together to be able to go up there for a full week. You have a drill, you go up there, no power, and you see how you guys can survive. That gets everybody a chance to realize, oh, this is our shortcoming. We did real good here, but we sucked over here.
Yeah, and then when you do these drills, cell phones get turned off. They get left in the vehicles. The vehicles are a quarter mile away, so you're literally with nothing. Because if you're going to do this, you can't be sitting there checking your phone every 50 seconds going, hey, what'd they post on YouTube? Or hey, what'd they say on Facebook? The heck with all that crap. Ditch it. Go back to 1960.
And there probably won't be.
Actually, better yet, go back to 1660 and
If
practice.
you're just out there building, you're not going to have time for it.
Yeah.
Right.
And
I'm going to add one more thing real quick. For you builders out there, the people that like to build and weld and tinker, go check out that channel I just posted. That's my pastor up in Michigan. And he's building a PTV, personal track vehicle. He's already built one. He's building a new one. And he gives step-by-step instruction on how to do it and what parts he's got. And what he's building, I think, is a viable form of transport to a degree in an SHTF event. So I would definitely check it.
And something else about groups, if you're going to join and stuff, find out what their position is on friends and external family. Because sometimes someone will have up there, they'll have their own little house, or they'll have their mobile home brought in. And next thing you know, they're bringing in all their cousins, relatives, and everything else. So there's got to be something in place ahead of time to talk about and deal with the events of after an HTF. Keep everybody from coming in there and just overwhelming the resources of the group.
Comes right down to something you should be very familiar with, Gil, an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. That means when you sign this piece of paper and you're joining our group, which I would recommend for anybody that's starting a group or has a group, have an NDA in place that, hey, if you violate this, you talk about what we've got or where we're at or what we're doing and how we're doing it. You talk about it to anybody, you're instantly out of the group. Anything you've donated is to our group, is ours. You take your stuff home with you and go on your merry way. And like I mentioned in the comment section of Prepping in Progress's video today, on that note, when you have an R group and a my group of items that you've donated, the R group is history. It's gone. But if you have that person has to leave, they're going to know where that stuff is. Well, you need 3 or 4 people, and as Bear called it, a spider network of stash houses. You don't want one person knowing where every single piece is. You want 2 people knowing where this one is, and one of these persons going to know where this one is, and one person over here is going to know where this one is. So you have 2 people knowing where each one is, but it's 2 different people for each item. That way, no one person knows where everything is. That way, if somebody leaves the group and they decide to go join another group, and that group thinks they're stronger and more militaristic, and they think they can go take it, the most they're going to get is only a teeny bit of what your group actually has. They're not going to be able to get to your entire stash.
Yeah, but fortunately, most groups don't have that problem. Fortunately, most. However,
at this point,
there's always going to be a bad apple out there, and that's what this is trying to do, is limit that bad apple. Anthony says we have that problem here in South Carolina. People taking stuff, or what? Can you be more specific, Anthony? Or Anthony, do you want to come up here?
I'd have to go find the link.
Yeah, like I said, like for my wife and I, when we started looking for our retirement home, we also wanted something that was sustainable off grid, and we'd looked for years before we got this place.
He says Mexicans moving their whole clan in.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's not just the Latinos. There's other groups. We're not going to get into the culture thing here, but there are other cultures that actually it's a whole family culture, and you may get one joining. Next thing you know, you've got the whole family there. Now, if they all want to pay to join, and they can all bring supplies, and they can all help out, and they're hard workers, sometimes that could be a good thing.
I'll tell you right now, when I drove truck and I was stationed down in Florida and Georgia for almost 5 months, loading watermelons, I worked with the same group of Mexicans. They had one supervisor, and he's the only one that actually spoke fluent English, clear enough where I could understand it at least. I would actually have him in my group because I'll tell you what, he had about 120 other people with him, and there isn't a job they couldn't do. I actually watched them build a barn in a weekend. These guys worked their rear ends off. They didn't complain, even though it was 105 degrees in the shade down there. They were working it. You know,
Yeah,
those guys will just do it.
they all speak English. They just don't let you know it.
No, most of these guys were undocumented immigrants here illegally that didn't speak a lick of English. So I mean,
Yeah.
but if he was up here and he came to me right now and said, "Hey, Dave, I need a place," I said, let's go find us some property right now. And he would actually go buy the property to get us all in one area. Problem is, there'd be like 100 other people, and we'd have to start building houses. But his group would do it.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, you know, when you look at your land, is the land all flat farmland? Is it up in the mountains on too steep of a hill really to do anything?
Or
Or
you
is
better
it,
terrace it.
yeah, is it, do you have a lot of trees there that you can, usable trees that you can use to build with? Because if, you know, it could be, have a few pine trees on and stuff, and it's the rest of it's covered with manzanita bushes, you know, or scrub oaks or something like that you really can't do anything with. What's the soil condition? Can you grow there? Can you farm there? All things you need to look at, not just the group, but what the group has as far as their, I don't know, you want to call it their bug out location, their redoubt, their retreat, you know. So,
I'm gonna have to get out of here, you guys. Starting to fade out.
all right, Will.
Thanks for having me up here again, Dan.
Who? What?
Dave. See, I
Good
told
grief,
Yeah,
man.
he's out of- he's out
done.
of
He's
it.
done. All
He's
right, let's
gone.
knock him on the head. Knock him on the head.
I told
Good
you
night,
I
Will.
was fading out, Dave. I'm sorry.
That's all right, man. Have a good night.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot of things to consider in vetting people, how you vet them, not just the people, but the locations. If you want to start your own group, it takes a lot of paperwork. When I say a lot of paperwork, stuff you're going to have to write down, not file with anybody, just to write down to keep track of everything, plan things out. Yeah, that's where you need to get a detail-oriented person into your group.
You need
Believe it or
someone that
not,
can be a
that's
secretary.
where a property manager type person or a logistics warehouse manager type person would be great to have in your group, because that's what they do. They know how to do that stuff.
I was in logistics for almost 30 years, driving truck, being able to plan and move freight and keep track of freight. And I can take you to places where I went 30 years ago, and I can tell you what I delivered, how much of it I delivered, and if there's damages to anything. I remember all that stuff. And truck drivers are usually pretty good as far as being able to keep track of stuff,
Yeah.
because they can go weeks without writing in their logbook, and then, oh crap, waste station is open, gotta fix my logbook, and they'll go back 3 weeks and make it look pretty damn good and be
Yeah.
close to being legal.
Now, one of the things interesting about some groups and stuff, I've only seen 2 groups where they've actually planned out something really cool. And they put in, I always mispronounce it, Willipina, Welipina. Basically, it's a half submerged greenhouse, and it uses the real ones have tubes buried 8 to 10 feet in the ground that run out in a big circle around it, and it just circulates and brings in in the summertime, it brings in the cool air from the ground to keep the greenhouse from overheating. In the wintertime, it brings in the warm air from the ground, which is between 55 and 62 degrees, into the greenhouse to keep things from freezing. 55 degrees, you can grow great oranges and citrus. And there are some of them they have them up here in Idaho, up in Montana, where they get, sub-zero weather for weeks at a time, and they're growing great citrus. So, I mean, if you find a group that is that well planned, and then they have a good written structure of their rules and regulations. The main thing you got to worry about is interpersonal relationships. And so, yeah, that's going to be the hardest thing is getting along with other people.
Hey, Dog Patch, didn't see you sneak in there, but thank you for stopping by.
Yep. Oh, let's see. Anything else we need to cover here on this? Bring up my notes again. The
Palmetto, as far as that, excuse me, have you ever heard of Hugo culture? Go ahead, Gil. I just wanted to throw that at him and give him a chance to answer that one.
What was that called again?
Hugo culture.
Oh, geez, I'm having a brain fart on what that is.
3D Tripper actually has got excellent videos showing her Hugo culture. And I'll tell you what, the stuff that she started at the beginning of this year absolutely exploded as far as how the stuff grew. She started at the beginning of the year. What you do is you take logs and you make a bed, and then you fill that in with other debris, bark, leaves, and a bunch of other stuff. You'd actually have to go watch the video to see how she set it up. But Hugo culture is one of those.
Yeah,
he's already doing it.
That's what Howie at Food Forest Permaculture is doing. I just had a video out on it. That's where I heard it from.
Yep.
Okay.
I keep forgetting he's done it, but the first one that popped in my mind is 3D Tripper. But yeah, Food Forest has also done it.
Yeah. The one of the things also you're gonna in determining.
I missed it, Paul.
The property up there, wherever it's at. I already mentioned about, is someone going to be staying there all the time? This is for security. If not, can you have, if you're so far out that way you don't have cable coming out to you, which is probably a good thing, do you have the ability to set up something like HughesNet or one of the satellite ones, internet services, where you can have a security camera system that's accessible via your smartphone, where people can watch what's going on up there?
Yeah, and then a system like what I've actually done videos on, the Securo system, is great. If you've got a way to connect these to Ethernet-based cable, the wireless works between the cameras and the DVRs. The DVR only connects directly via line to internet. So if you've got a place and you need security, the Securo systems will work out great for you, because it's one app on the phone, no matter how many DVRs you've got. The 720 ones, the little 7-inch one I got, does just as good. In some cases, sometimes a little bit better than the 1080p system I got. So that is one option. If you're going to set up security and you're not there, definitely want to get something that you can connect that is virtually hack-proof. I mean, it can be hacked, but it's going to take a professional hacker to get into that system.
Yeah. And most time, if someone does stumble across Able, all they're going to do is see what's on the cameras. They're not going to know where it's at generally. That's going to take a little bit more.
The only way they can actually get access to the system is they actually have to have the QR code off the back of the DVR. Yeah. If they don't have that, they cannot gain access to the system unless they actually gain access to your computer or your phone and then get into it that way. That's the only way it can be hacked.
Yeah. So security is one thing to look at. Upkeeping the property, that's why you want to go up there. People going up there for drills, exercises, because part of what you're going to be doing up there during your drills and exercise is maintenance. Cutting back the weeds, keeping everything, make sure, it's trying to think of the thing. The Forest Service says basically your barrier, you clean to keep fires from getting to your structures. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of upkeep that needs to be done on a retreat or a redoubt, whatever you want to call it, if not someone's not living up there all the time doing this work. And that's one of the things that, generally to concern if you have a large group, a large enough group, and someone is going to be up there. That's part of their job, is to maintain the property. That's what they're up there for. Houses, you depending on your county jurisdiction and stuff, building structures up there, may also be another headache you have to deal with, like the guys up there in Bonner County, where you got a bunch of little Nazis running around in the county government, thinking they get to do whatever the heck they want. Now, some of the groups I've seen, what was that? Down in was it northern Arizona? They built a bunch of barns, and they got them inspected. And once they were inspected, what did they do? They went in and converted them. It was tall enough. They put a mid floor in there. Upstairs, the loft area became homes, and they used the bottom part for animals. Hey, what country does that? I believe Switzerland does that. They live above the barn, in the barn above the animals, and the animals are down below. And they've been doing that for hundreds of years.
Hey, Finally River Kennels. Welcome back. And to get onto, let's talk about prepping's question, if you can't bring your cell phone, how to use a security system. The system I have running, obviously. And it's got DVRs here in the house. If I go away, I can use a cell phone, I can use my computer, I can use a tablet, as long as I have the app for it, because it does require an app, and the QR code off the back of the DVRs, I can connect to it anywhere I'm at. So it doesn't just have to be a phone. I mean, if you're using some kind of technology right now to watch YouTube, whatever you're using now could also be used the same. I've got the app on my laptop, I've got it on my phone, I've got it on a tablet. And so no matter what I take with me, if I'm not at the house for an extended period of time, I've got a 1 terabyte hard drive connected to my 1080p, which watches all 4 corners of the house or my apartment. That way I can check in at any time. I can go back to footage. I can take snapshots and email it to the police if I need to, whatever. And later, Tibor.
Take it easy.
Okay, now they're trying to speak German and Spanish.
Yeah, I've been watching that. It's like I have not. I mean, when I was in junior high, I took a semester of German, and I haven't used it since. So
I took 3 weeks worth of Spanish in 7th grade. I haven't touched it since. So I can speak very, very, very little, and I'm not going to try and attempt. I figured that out when I was down there in Florida and Georgia working with the Mexicans. I tried to talk. 3 of them started laughing hysterically at me, and the guy that was their supervisor, he says, "Don't. Just don't do it no more, okay?" Gotcha. I'll speak English, you translate. And he says, "I got you."
You reminded me of something. When I was working at Mountain Cascade, their plumbing supervisor that did all the water hookups and stuff was a legal Mexican. But he had such a bad, not list, but everything. The other Mexican said, "I can't understand him either." When he's speaking Spanish, I can't understand Rubio either. But yeah, there was something here just popped up in here I was going to mention too before we got on that. So back to another part I was talking about earlier, that just for a short, that the location of the property, how far away is it from where you actually live? How are you going to get there? So I talked about.
And honestly speaking, I wouldn't want something any more than 20 miles away. Something you can cover on foot in 2 days' time.
Yeah. You don't want to go too far. Me, all I got to go is from here. Oh, okay, I'm at my location.
Yeah, I'm going to say this, and pure is the most kindest way I can say it. Fight me.
But it took me like 8 years to get this place.
Yeah, I honestly wish I would have considered these things 30 years ago when I first, well, it's almost 40 years ago when I first learned how to drive truck. I learned how to drive when I was 13 and I started driving when I was 20. I wish I'd have known then what I know now. I would have had a place probably vacant, just a vacant lot, and I would have slowly built it up over time. But I didn't think back then like I think now.
Oh yeah, me too.
So I
But
just
anyways,
wish I knew then.
so if you wind up of a location that is a distance away, a good distance away, that you usually drive takes you an hour or two to drive there, because you're in the city and you want to be well away from the city. You need to have backup modes of transportation, because in an HSTF or a Tawaka situation, what are the highways going to turn into? Permanent parking lots, because people are going to run out of gas. There's not going to be any tow trucks coming to bring you gas or tow you anywhere. They're going to be permanent parking lot situations.
That's why I've
What are you
made
gonna do?
arrangements to get horses. And it's right now 3 horses, one for me, one for my son, and one for our gear. Obviously we'll have some gear on mine and my son's. My son's horse will have a little bit more than mine do due to our weight difference. Then we'll have a third horse with even more gear and foodstuffs on it. So, I have a plan. Should SHTF or Tetawaki actually happen, whether that plan stays in place on their end or not, I've already done my part. I hope it does, because that'll be my way to get up into Michigan where I plan on going. And it's going to take me a week, even on horseback, to get to where I want to go because of the back routes I've got to take. Depending on the SHTF event, I've got to worry about a nuclear plant here in Ohio, depending on which way the winds are blowing, whether or not I have to go way over into Indiana, or if I can stay here in Ohio and just skirt the state line going up. If the winds start blowing from the northeast down here, I'm going to have to go way over in Indiana before I can cut up into Michigan. And I've already got the route planned out. It's almost all woods areas. There's a few small cities that I have to skirt, but I've already, pre-planned all this out. And it's not written down anywhere. It's all up here. I don't want to leave my route out for anybody to find.
Yeah. One of the things, he's got horses. Something else to consider are those like those bikes that have the big monster tires. If you're going with bikes, what do you got to have? Tire patches, spare tubes. One of the things, I forget where we were talking about it. They're talking about the a thing to put behind it.
A trailer?
Yeah, trailer or a
wagon of some sort. Kids wagon.
Infant, one of those infant cars, things, things you tow behind the bike and stuff. Something you can put your supplies on that, so you don't have the supplies all on your back in a big backpack trying to maintain your balance while you're pedaling.
Mm-hmm. Training wheels work too. I know it sounds stupid, but believe it or not, if you can weld, you can make a set of training wheels for a full-size bike if you need to add that extra weight.
Yeah.
It may sound stupid, but in an SHTF event, I don't care what you think of me. If I'm pedaling my butt down the road and I got training wheels because I've got an extra 250 pounds on the bike, I'm still moving, and you're sitting there laughing, and then 3 minutes later you went, damn, I should have thought of that.
Yeah. The other thing too is they have some really nice bikes now that are 3-wheeled, and they're not just single gears. They have them with 3 speeds, 5 speeds, and 10 speeds. So they do have bikes that that have built-in carts, baskets on the back, stuff, or you can modify to put a lot more weight on them. Mm-hmm. So there are ways to do it. And like Dave was saying about routes, I love map books. I love Thomas Brother map books. You have the map book. It's great. You can plan out your route on it. You don't draw your route on it. You can make little notations in a notepad or somewhere else in a code that that shows out, so you can go back. Oh, here I'm at. I need to go this way, that way.
Welcome back, CT.
Yeah, you can do things like that to make sure you have alternate routes. Because number one military saying about plans: no plan.
Plans are destroyed by mice.
Yeah. There's a best line plans of mice and men often go right, but it's also the one is no plan survives contact with the enemy.
Exactly. And as
So-
far as your map content goes, excuse me, it's expensive to do what I'm fixing to suggest. But if you know you're going to have to bug out and you know where you're going is a state away or several counties away, I would recommend going depending on some counties, it's usually $15 to get a county plat book. And you'll have to look that up just so you can see what I'm talking about. But a county plat book is actually, to a degree, better than most GPS maps, because a county plat book shows you hidden roads, county roads that are unmarked as far as actual streets, but they're marked on a plat book. So you can actually find routes that will get you away from everybody, around everything that you're not going to find on a map. You're not going to find on a GPS map unless it's a topographical map. And even then, you're still not going to be able to find everything. So if you can afford it, get plat books. Those will give you the most information, and they are topographical. Okay, I'll shut up.
Yeah, Steve's back. Hi, Steve.
Welcome back. Oh, don't worry, I'm not giving up my day job.
But yeah, and training. If you're going to have to be bugging out and traveling a distance where you have to get off road, I would suggest take an orienteering course of some sort. If it's online, whatever, learn how to read a map and compass. Because you may be looking at the map and think you're going in one direction, but you don't realize north is not straight in front of you. North is 15 degrees off to your left, and now you're going in a different location.
Yep. Yeah, that's like, that's one thing a plat book will help with, because the maps are really small. I mean, they're usually the size of a sheet of paper. And a plat book actually has multiple pages in it, and it shows each section of the county. So it's right down to almost nitty-gritty level of what you could see in a plat book. And like I say, they're usually $15 to $20 depending on the state and the county. But if you get a plat book for every county you think you're going to have to go through, you can plan such a detailed route and memorize it in such a way that you don't have to carry those with you. You'll be able to look at a regular map and say, okay, I know I need to go through here. That's a troubled area that's not on this map, but I already know it because of what's here. It'll show dumps. It'll show a garbage dump and, toxic. It'll show if there's a toxic area on that map in a plat book. But if you look at a topographical map or a regular map, a GPS map, you're not going to see that that's a toxic area. A plat book will actually list that. And you'll know, okay, I was thinking about going here, but the toxic areas here, I'm staying away from that. So it's a really good way to get those.
Yeah. One of the things whatever map book you have of sort of, go to Walmart or wherever, get some clear contact paper and put it over each page, both sides, to protect it from the weather. Because you don't want to be out there and suddenly you get rained on and you go to open your book and it's all glued together because it got wet.
That contact paper is great. Lamination paper is what I meant to say. Lamination paper.
Yeah. The laminators, you got to take the book apart. Of contact paper, you can just go ahead and cut it to the right size, stick it on there, peel it off, go old school.
Yeah, that's why I have a laminated Trucker's Atlas.
Yeah.
You can get a laminated Trucker's Atlas that's a year or two out of date. It's still very accurate. Yeah. It's just not the latest, greatest thing. You can usually pick those up off of eBay for like $15 as well. It gives you the entire U.S. It's just not as topographical as you may want.
Yeah. Now, back 32 years ago, when I started going hunting with a friend of mine, we'd go up into the mountains of Northern California and we would get the two different topographical maps for the same area. One is zoomed in more detail, the other one's out farther. But we got up there and we discovered and these maps weren't that old. And these were produced by USGS and they weren't that old. But they did not have all the logging trucking roads on there. And these roads would change in every couple of years. So even the plot maps wouldn't have those. So that's one of the things I would suggest is that you, if you can, take time and explore your alternate routes. See where water sources are that aren't on a map. The things to look for. You may decide that, all right, this one here looked good on the map, but hey, I ain't going this way. It's just, not viable.
Palmetto, I think the closest thing you'd have down in that area might be a Rural King if you got those down there.
Does Cabela's offer that sort of stuff?
Not that I'm aware of, but I haven't really checked.
Yeah. Hey, go down to your local Boy Scout office, become a merit badge counselor for orienteering, and they'll, you can learn how to do it.
You real
Teach
quick.
it. Mm-hmm. And I'm probably sure there's more than a few military guys out there that have had these special orienteering courses that you might be able to find one or two in your area down at the local VFW that could be willing to share his knowledge with you.
Wow. The kids are having fun tonight in the chat.
Yep. I almost want to stop and just watch them in the chat. Trying to keep up here.
Mm-hmm. Definitely not on topic. Of course, I don't think we've been on topic for the last 15 minutes in here.
I think they're trying to listen to us and talk about stuff like cutting meat up there
and carrying tattoos of measuring sticks and flies, eagles. And,
yeah. Get a fly tattoo. Oh, that was bad, Anthony.
I do, if I'm not mistaken, REI is just like a Rural King. There, it's. I'm not going to swear to it, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's like. It's more of like a Rural King, more like what Tractor Supply used to be.
Well, REI is a sporting, an outdoor sporting goods store that's more like along the lines of High Adventure. They have a lot of ski stuff. They got rock climbing gear. They got tons of Mountain House, tons of stoves, sleeping bags, Gore-Tex clothing. Yeah, it's they got a lot of stuff like that, and most REIs have classes all the time on different things.
Well, it's not the same thing I was thinking of then. So
yeah,
I apologize. I was wrong. I'm not enough to admit it.
Yeah, REI is more like Cabela's, and it but REI seems to be aimed for the more yuppie crowd because they got all sorts of skiing equipment stuff. They got all the climbing gear that Cabela's usually doesn't have. I mean, basically, every REI I've been into, they have a rock wall indoors, and they teach you how to climb.
Okay, yeah, it's not the same store I was thinking of. So, again, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Don't mind me. I keep watching my cameras because a lot of the other channels that I watch lately have been doxxed and have been swatted. So I'm keeping an eye on my cameras to make sure that doesn't happen here. Because if I see a bunch of squad cars going out, I'm going to open the curtains and open the door real fast. So before they even have a chance to park, I'm not going to take any chances. Yeah. And then I'm going to get on the phone and call 911 and say what the hell's going on.
So when you're trying to get in a group, there's a lot of research to do. Don't do it. Try to get it done in 1 month.
Right.
It may take you a year to find the right group, or you may find out, hey, I have to form my own group. And if you're in California, Southern California, you're going to want Steve, and you're going to want Uncle Al, and you're going to want our swamp. But yeah. There's all sorts of communities just besides the prepper community to give you information about groups. I mean, I'm in part of the prepper community. I'm also in the homestead communities. In fact, that's where I started out first going online, was because I'm setting my property up here and I wanted to learn more, all the stuff I forgot as a kid about farming and homesteading. So I went into the homesteading videos and started watching those. And then
the homesteading community does have a lot of great information, especially when it comes to being able to grow your own stuff and ways to do it. And, I mean, that's what Food Forest is. He's more of a homesteader than a prepper as far as classification would go. And I'll tell you what, the man knows how to grow stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of good stuff out there. I mean, one of the ones I've been following, so this is going to be sort of a shout out, is a Red Poppy Ranch here in Idaho. The guy started buying his 40 acres. There was no house on it, no nothing. And over the last 3.5 years, he's gone in, done all, he talks about digging a shallow well, putting water tanks, how to lay your water lines, your sewer lines, septic tanks, building his house, solar panel systems. Yeah, he covers a whole gambit on it. Has a lot of information on it. He built his own sawmill, and he shows you how he did that. So there's a lot of homestead guys out there that are doing stuff like this and doing videos on it, where you can learn a lot that you're going to need as a prepper after HSTF or Tawaki when you're out there. Oh, okay, now I need to cut down trees and make a house. How do I do that?
Yeah, I got the basic knowledge. Don't ask me to do it because I probably screw it up.
Yeah. It's like a lot of these videos, I've downloaded these videos and I have them on my terabyte drives. So if I need to watch them later, I got plenty of laptops. I can just plug one in and get the information later. But then that's probably some stuff you may want to consider about getting a hard copy book about how to build a sawmill, how to build a log cabin.
All right, Dog Patch. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for stopping in.
All right. See you later, Dog Patch.
Oh, we've been at it for 2 hours now.
Yep.
So I guess, I've got enough time to run one more this month. Oh, wait, this is only, what, second week? Yeah, second week.
Yeah, so.
I got just, if we quit now, I can do an hour and 45 minutes and an hour and 45 minutes next time. So.
Okay, so I'll have to cut it off on time.
Right. Well, I don't think I'll be doing a live stream on the 25th. I think that would be a little presumptuous on my part. So I think we'll skip the 25th, and we will definitely do one next week, the 18th.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
So thank you, folks, for visitating.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I hope you guys learned something, and if not, maybe you can teach us something later on. I have a lot of channels I'm subscribed to. I got over 300 I'm subscribed to, so I don't always comment, but I do always hit the thumbs up, and I do listen. I do watch. It just takes me a while to get through them all. And I do have 2 videos edited and one almost edited. Unfortunately, one of the videos that the other day when I said I had something on the table in a box, it is not looking like I will be reviewing that because there's issues with it. They're telling me it's fine. It is not holding center. They told me it should be just fine. Just put it on a rifle. And if a sight won't hold center on a crossbow, there's no way it's going to hold center on any kind of firearm. I don't care if it's 22 or what, because a crossbow has less recoil than even a 22.
Yeah.
So I honestly don't know if I'll be reviewing it. I may be telling them sorry.
You tell them, hey, do you want an honest review or do you just want no review?
So that's the email they're going to get tonight.
Yeah. They may ask you to send, do the review privately to them so they can fix it. Right. All right, Anthony, see you later. See you later, Steve. Kaylin, I watched Prepper Nurse 1 as well.
Yep. So
he's got that new greenhouse. All right.
What you got going on, Gil?
What do I got going on? Oh, well, I got to finish a video I started on that 10x20 carport thing I put up. So I finally got it all taken care of tonight. So I just got to do a finished video on it because it was snowing too hard. I did not want my camera out there in the snow. while we were working on it, trying to get it finished earlier tonight.
Get a cheap GoPro that's got a waterproof camp housing.
Yeah, right now, until I get monetized, which now, since it's now the 11th, it's going to have to be 4,000 subscribers.
Yeah, I'll never be monetized, so y'all can watch my stuff without fear of commercials.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about commercials on mine either. But yep. Anyway, so I got that to go, and I got actually tomorrow I'm probably going to film my when I did that stove kit, emergency stove kit. I'm actually going to light it off and use my one of those fire starters I made, test them out, run the whole thing, and see if I can boil water tomorrow.
Cool.
So that's going to be one thing I'm going to be doing tomorrow, and finish off the other video, and then also finish off the script on and some more details on the what we were talking about tonight about, or just about definitions of different groups and stuff.
Right on.
Because I only touched on just a little bit. I got 8 pages of material there, so it's going to be several videos.
Yeah, when they call it alphabet soup, they weren't kidding.
Yeah.
So, all right, we've been at it for 2 hours and 6 minutes and 2 seconds. So,
All right.
thank everybody for coming in. If you're watching this as a repeat, thank you for sticking around for the whole thing. And until next time, I'm Grumpy. I'll catch you next time.
I'm Gil again. All right.
Have a good night, all.
Mhm.